Obviously not the first time you're going to be starting a race from the front row, but your first pole in GB3, that must feel pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. Good qualifying. The start didn't look very good for us. We were down in P19 or something because of a few unfortunate track limit offences, but then luckily at the end I managed to bag a P4 in qualifying 1 and then restarted and went again for qualifying 2 and came on with poles. So yeah, super happy with the result. The car felt really good, and massive thanks to Roden Motorsport for giving me the car, and Roden Cars, my sponsor, for being there and supporting me.
You've looked fast all season so far, but you've just proven it there by breaking the GB3 qualifying lap record. That must feel pretty special.
Yeah, we've definitely shown the potential throughout pre-season testing and even Silverstone. We had the pace, but a few things didn't fall into line, which obviously didn't give us the pole or the win that we wanted. But now, we've come back even stronger and done the job. So yeah, I'm super happy with the result.
You were pretty racy at Silverstone, pretty happy to get stuck in. You're much further towards the front, obviously, with pole position, but how are you expecting things to go here?
Yeah, I think it will be quite similar. This track gives the cars quite good racing. And starting at the front should give us a good opportunity to race from there. And, we'll see how it goes, but hopefully we'll come away with the win.
Well, congratulations, a fantastic effort. Let's see how the race goes.
Thank you.
So there we go. Alex Ninovich, the driver who'll be starting from pole position in the race here today, the first one of the day. Finds himself in 5th position in the standings. Has had 3 top 5 finishes, though, in the season. Yet to finish on the podium. I do get the feeling that today might be the day, especially considering the circuit is a little bit difficult to overtake at. Deegan Fairclough will be starting from 2nd alongside him. And so obviously will be pretty aggressive to not repeat the 2nd place of yesterday. We've seen the car driving around the circuit. We've had an onboard with it. Let's talk a little bit about it and show you the gritty details of the new car for 2025. The GB3 Championship introduces a new car to the series for 2025, the Tata's MSV GB3025. The new machine is a serious upgrade in the previous generation, with more downforce, greater power and innovations not previously seen at this level of motorsport. Key safety upgrades are also included, like the titanium halo, new front and rear crash structures, revised anti-intrusion panels and improved head and leg protection, meaning the car meets the latest FIA standards. Equipped with an F1-inspired aerodynamics package, adding 35% more downforce at the same drag level compared to the outgoing car, with new bespoke front and rear wing assemblies, powerful underbody aerodynamics and CFD-optimised aero surfaces. The most notable addition is the inclusion of the rear wing drag reduction system for the first time in GB3. The naturally aspirated 2-litre 4-cylinder mount-tune engine has received a 30 horsepower boost up to 280 horsepower, while additional grip is produced by the Pirelli tyres, which are now 2 inches wider all round. And that's the new car for GB3 in 2025. So not only does the car look cool, it's safer and it's faster as well. It has been absolutely rapid around Circuit Zandvoort this weekend. We didn't quite set the lap record yesterday. I think it may be a little bit too hot and people were being a little too cautious around the circuit. But in qualifying, we were definitely faster than we'd ever been. And there's been some very quick times set in practice. I suspect the GB3 lap record round here will definitely be falling this weekend, either here in race 2 or indeed in race 3. Obviously, the big question, can Alex Ninovich convert pole position into a race victory? Can Pat Huizenmoder take back-to-back victories? He'll be starting from 3rd position. And of course, Deegan Fairclough on the front row once more. It's going to be a very, very interesting race as well. 16 laps will be put onto the board. 25 minutes, of course. Let's go racing. And so the European road trip is in full swing as we get ready for the second race here at Circuit Zandvoort. It was an excellent race victory for Pat Huizenrode yesterday in the bright blue sunshine. The clouds have come over a little bit here at Zandvoort as we get ready for the second race of the weekend. To talk to you a little bit about the circuit and all the twists and turns of it, we race our way down into Tarzan. Of course, the flick right and then flick left through the Hugenholzbock with the huge banking over there on the right-hand side. We then go through the SS section up towards Skyflak before we go into Masters, my favourite corner of the circuit, absolutely pinned through there, and then we go through 9 and then through 10, the opening or the first DRS zone there as they head down into the Hans Ernst box, the second DRS detection point as they run into Kumo, and then of course that final DRS run. It is a long DRS activation point as they go around Ari Lyondijk and then back down towards Tarzan. That's where we saw most of the overtakes yesterday around this 2.6 mile circuit. It is very undulating. As much as it's only 8 metres of elevation change all the way around, a lot of it is up and down all over the place like an absolute roller coaster, especially with that final corner and the 18 degrees of banking. A lot of the drivers have been very positive with how they've spoken about this circuit. A lot of drivers really like the rhythm round here. And, well, I mean, look, winning around here is always sweet, especially because it is our first European round of the season. You want to be starting this European leg in full swing, of course. In a few weeks' time, we're going to Spa after that. We'll be going to Hungary as well. So you really want to start this European swing in good stead. It's a large part of this championship. Let's take a look then at the starting order for race number 2 of the weekend and round 5 of the championship. Alex Ninovic will be starting from pole position alongside Deegan Fairclough. He finished second yesterday with a bit of struggles late on. Pat Huizenrode in third position, obviously won the race yesterday alongside Reza Sawuthan. Of course, finished inside the top 5 yesterday for the Argentine with Prema team. Nikita Johnson with starting from 5th position, with Wampu Shui starting from 6th. Of course, the teammate of Reza Sawuthan, who was battling with him all the way through the day. Noah Lyle is battling for second in the championship at the moment, starts this race from 7th position with Gianmarco Pradl dropping right the way down the order. Had a podium yesterday. That was because he qualified right the way up there. Hugo Sforza will start from 9th position with Keanu Alazari in the high-tech TGR bright pink BWT car right at the back end of the top 10. Will McIntyre up to 11th position with Kai Darianani for JHR Developments starting from 12th place, 6th of the grid. Abby Pulling in 13th, a bit of a struggle in qualifying, but some decent race pace. Lucas Flusha will be starting alongside in 14th position. Then we've got Stefan Bostanchiev, was sent off the road a little bit by Jack Sherwood in yesterday's race. Bianca Bustamante will be starting from 16th position. Penultimate row of the grid sees Flynn Jacks, who made an aggressive start yesterday, throwing the car around the circuit, doing fantastically in doing so. Divi Nandon will start alongside in 18th position, and on the final row of the grid in 19th position, it is Jack Sherwood after a crash in qualifying 1 yesterday. Couldn't get any lap time, obviously, in qualifying 2. The car was toast, but still managed to get out for the race. The mechanics have done such a good job. Important things for the drivers to be thinking about then over this 16-lap race. Obviously, number 1, score as many points as you possibly can. You don't know how race 3 is going to go, but then keep your nose clean, keep the car clean, keep the car fresh. Any damage that is put onto these cars are new, they're complicated, there are a lot for the mechanics to be thinking about, and if you're involved in an incident in this race, you're giving your mechanics a lot of work to do before the third race of the weekend a little bit later on this afternoon. They only have about 3 or 4 hours after this to mend the car should there be any damage, and that's why race 2 at Silverstone was actually relatively calm. Comparatively, there was still quite a big crash, but that was obviously late on in the race. But outside of that, everyone was fine and clean. Look there on the left-hand side, the number 7, that high-tech TGR car of Deegan Fairclough. This will be his 5th race in Zandvoort in the last year. Well, to be fair, a year and a bit. In that time, he has finished on the podium in all 4 of them. He had 3 podiums in British Formula 4 round here. He had a podium yesterday, his first in GB3. He'll be ready for another podium here. Maybe even a victory if he gets that run down into the first corner just right. They're all in position and ready to go. The green flag's waved at the back end of the field, and 16 laps will go onto the board as we get ready to go racing for the second time here at Circuit Zandvoort. We are underway. It looks like a slightly better start initially from Fairclough, but then he gets a lot of wheel spin. Nikita Johnson pushed over to the right-hand side of the road and into the grass a little bit, but a great start from our pole sitter who leads into the first corner. It's Ninovic leading from Huizenrode, leading from Reza Sawuthan, who's managed to work his way through into third position. So Deegan Fairclough, despite having a good reaction to the line, a little bit too much wheel spin as he was then dropping back straight on the aggressive path as he passed Sawuthan, someone who he was teammates with last year, and certainly Not showing any love lost between the two of them as he works his way back up then into third position. Now they battle their way up towards Sky Black. It's still tight with the race leader. Smoothen was looking down the inside. I was saying this race might be a bit calmer, but they're all going a bit elbows out here on the opening lap of the race. Pat Huizenrode showing the excellent speed that he's had all the way through this weekend thus far, right onto the rear end of your race leader. There was Jack Sherwood with the yellow highlight in the white, purple and pink Excel Motorsports car, trying to start from the rear end of the field and trying to work his way up the order as best he can. He's got aggressive there, and there has definitely been some contact in the background. We're staring at the number 4 silver car though. That is Nikita Johnson for the high-tech TGR team, trying to get past Reza Sawuthan at the moment, but cannot do so. Big off there. That was Bastangiev in the Fortec car, that red and silver car, as he ran wide at turn 10. Bit of a look to the outside. Lucas Flusha was trying to get to the inside as they worked their way to the Hans Ernst Bock and then the outside for the final part of it. But it's Keanu Alazari in that bright pink BWT sponsored, of course, part of the Alpine Academy for the high-tech TGR team. But he's able to keep Flusha at bay towards the back end of the field. They cross the line and it is still Ninovic leading with plenty of time to go, 15 laps. That's Jack Sherwood getting squeezed off to the wall as he's trying to get past Abby Pulling on the race down into the first corner. Abby Pulling in the white and black. Jack Sherwood in the white, purpley pink car. Gets to the outside at Tarzan, sends it all the way around the outside without DRS activation as well. That's a brilliant move from Jack Sherwood in the number 78. Fantastic stuff, straight around the outside. Was able to clear Abby Pulling, kept the foot in there despite getting quite close to the barrier on the right-hand side on the start-finish straight. So brilliant racing between them. This is a bit further up the order. Gianmarco Prado at the moment, who hasn't qualified quite as well in race number 2 as he did in race 1, trying to keep Hugo Schwarzer at bay in that VRD Racing charcoal grey car at present. So they head their way through Masters once again. It's still Ninovic leading from Huizenrode, from Deegan Fairclough, from Reza Sawuthan, then Nikita Johnson, Wampu Shui in 6th position with Noah Lyle in 7th, Will McIntyre, Hugo Schwarzer and Gianmarco Prado, the top 10. This at the moment, a battle just outside of the top 10, 11th position. Keanu Alazari in that bright pink car is going to have Lucas Flusha all over the rear end. Goes to the left-hand side, there's Flusha in the silver and blue Argenti with Framer car, sends it in, heading into the Hans Ernst box. Big load of curb being taken by Keanu Alazari. But alas, the position switch does work in favour of the Spaniard. Flusha moves up into 11th position in that number 3 car, but they're being joined in this fight by Jack Sherwood, who marched forward in the race yesterday. And he's trying to do very much the same thing again. We've heard from him a little bit how he's saying that basically he's got a lot of work that he needs to do this weekend, starting from last in all 3 of the races, but has been showing it brilliantly. There's Gianmarco Prado taking a lot of the curb. Here's Hugo Schwarzer taking even more. And behind that is Keanu Alazari taking a big step up on that huge amount of curb being taken by Alazari, showing brilliantly with the slow-mo. Flusha, though, completing the move as they would head into the Hans Ernst box. Brilliant stuff. I mean, absolutely crazy. You saw a bit of a lock-up in the background. I think that might have been Sherwood who had the bit of a lock-up. This is back up to the race leader, though. It is the number 12 of Alex Ninovic at the moment, having completed 2.5 laps of the race and obviously getting ourselves ready for DRS to be active around the circuit. It's Ninovic leading from Huizenrode. Deegan Fairclough, though, in 3rd position, who had a bit of struggle when it came to late race pace yesterday, is the one who sits in 3rd position. Certainly someone who's not afraid of getting his elbows out. He's pulled 1.5 seconds over Reza Sawuthan, of course, got his elbows out going into the Hugenholz box. That banked corner at turn 3, sent it down the inside. Might need to do very much the same thing again if he's able to get past Pat Huizenrode and retake over 2nd position, which is where, of course, he started in this race. There's Jack Sherwood and Abby Pulling doing battle. Contact between the pair of them. Another lock-up from Sherwood in the 78. Abby Pulling in the pink highlighted Rodin car behind, trying to find any way through. There's Flusha in the foreground of that silver and blue car, trying to get inside the top 10 with a bit of a move on Hugo Schwarzer. More grass being picked up there by Abby Pulling as they work their way back out onto the start-finish straight into Ari Leyendijk and up towards the line. Abby Pulling gets to the outside. It's almost a repeat of how they were earlier on. We did obviously see the move from Jack Sherwood go around the outside at the first corner at Tarzan, and this time with DRS open, it's much easier for Abby Pulling. There's the silver and red car of Bastangiev straight down the inside, forcing the door open there as he was able to clear the JHR Developments car, the number 17 of Divi Nanden. There's a big look down the inside for Jack Sherwood trying to get past. That was very aggressive. Did do that yesterday with a big move down the inside at Hugenholtz, but of course that's going to cost him with a run out of the corner, and Stefan Bostantiev is able to come through on the 78. So Bostantiev has gone from 15th position up to 14th, although not quite yet as they head their way into Sky Black. Jack Sherwood sends it in once more to keep Bostantiev at bay, and it is Jack Sherwood in the 78 still hanging on just about to that 14th position after being passed by Abby Pulling down into turn 1. Obviously 3.5 laps complete, and they're already pretty confident on their tyres. I'm seeing Jack Sherwood sliding it out of quite a few corners. He did have a big slide coming out of the real final corner, but effectively it's the penultimate turn, but it is the real final one at Kumo. Sliding the rear end out before they got into Ari Leyendijk. That was what opened up the opportunity for Abby Pulling to work her way past as they head now into the Hans Ernst box. You've got the number 17 there of Divi Nanden. Trying to get past the silver and red car right in the front of us. That was Bostantiev. This is back up to the race lead though, and it is still Ninovic leading. There comes a big look down the inside. That's maybe a little bit too aggressive for Deegan Fairclough in the silver high-tech TGR car with the Rocket sponsored. He couldn't quite get through there at Tarzan, who was definitely giving it a good go. He's going to look again. Not going to get quite low enough. Didn't fancy going super low. You would have such a poor run out of the corner. But the top three here, class of the field right now. Ninovic, just about able to keep them at bay, has set a 1 minute 32.2, which is exactly the same, you'll be shocked to hear, of the two drivers directly behind. They are on pace with each other so comfortably. The car behind, being Samouthan, about half a second to a second a lap slower than the top three. Now, is that going to come back to haunt them later on in the race if Samouthan's looking after his tyres, trying to play the long game? Blue skies are coming out here. The track temperature's increasing around here as each lap is ticked off. And we were seeing that there were a couple of tyre struggles late on in the race when they were coming to overheating over the roughly 25-minute race. Ninovic, though, primed for a first podium in GB3. Big slide there from Huizenrode, who's already taken his first of the weekend. That was a first victory yesterday, and would like to take a second one. The championship leader, Pat Huizenrode, is really involved in the fight. I mean, the closest driver to him in the championship is the number 11 car on your tower there, 7th position for Noah Lyle, the driver who sits second in the championship. Things are definitely going to change after this race. This is the battle for the final position inside the top 10. Of course, it's Hugo Schwarzer in the number 33 VRD racing car. He's potentially about to be passed by Lucas Flusha, who's already put on a good few moves here today. The number 3 Argenti with Prema car works his way to the outside to make it 3 Argentis into the top 10. Big lock up there from Hugo Schwarzer. Surely he's going straight on, managed to keep it on the road. Flusha with the up and under. Easy as you like. That was brilliant stuff. Flusha basically just forcing Hugo Schwarzer into the mistake there and read it brilliantly. Left the room open for Schwarzer to basically go straight on. Goes to the up and under. And there are now 3 Argenti with Premas inside the top 10. Of course, you now have Flusha himself. You've got Siwuthan there in 4th position. And you've got Wampu Shui in 6th spot. So Argenti with Prema scoring very handsomely here. At the moment, I think they're even outscoring. They won't be. I was going to wonder if they were outscoring Rodin at the moment, because obviously it's the top 2 drivers that are scoring the points in a given race. And at the moment for Rodin, Ninovic is obviously leading the race, and his teammate Gianmarco Prado just in 8th. But the points for victory, it's 35 points for the victory. A little bit of contact there as Keanu Alazari tries to unseat Hugo Schwarzer, who's now outside of the top 10. Had 2 presses at the DRS button there, did Hugo Schwarzer. It did finally open for him. He opened it, he closed it, he opened it once again, just picking off the DRS from Lucas Flusha, who's now inside the top 10. But Hugo Schwarzer, who was a little bit of a tyre whisperer a bit last year, is certainly not doing the same thing here today. He's struggling a little bit around Circuit Zandvoort at the moment to keep everything above board. I think it's less so tyres, more so confidence really around here. But he might be passed down into the first corner. Keanu Alazari in the bright pink BWT car. He's going to have to go around the long way. Oh, 2 moves there from Hugo Schwarzer. It's opened the door for Keanu Alazari, and Alazari sends his way through down into T1. That there at Tarzan completes the move, and Keanu Alazari moves his way up into 11th position. Hugo Schwarzer's plummeting down the field. He's now in 12th. He was inside the top 10 earlier on in the race. Oh my goodness, that was very high from Alazari. He's taken the Bristol line there like it's NASCAR. Alas, he keeps it just about, well, I was going to say just about within track limits. That definitely wasn't within track limits. I think Callum Voisin got pinged for that a couple of years ago for making a move going above there. In this occasion, it'll be fine. It'll get a warning for it. It will be one of the track limit excursions that you're kind of allowed. And if you do that too many times, then you receive the penalty. There's Flynn Jacks in the bright yellow and black with the orange highlights. Obviously made so many great moves yesterday, right at the start of the race, including a couple down here. At the moment, he's trying to get past Divi Nandan in the number 17 JHR Development car. He also has Bianca Bustamante directly behind. And then Bianca Bustamante has actually dropped back behind Kai Darianani. So Kai Darianani is the next one to go on the attack, send it down the inside. That is Darianani in the silver and orange highlighted car making the move, the number 88, and straight around the outside of the Hans Ernst box. That's brilliant stuff on Flynn Jacks from Kai Darianani. We get great racing up towards the front of the field. We're getting great racing down the back end of the field as well. Classic GB3 racing, as you would expect. They've completed the 7th lap of racing. We're approaching the halfway point of the race. There's still 9 left to go. It's Ninovic leading by 3/4 of a second. He's starting to put his foot down at the front end of the field as he tries to set some PBs. That lap was actually really nice from Ninovic on the previous lap as he pulls that margin out ever so slightly over Huizenrode and Fairclough. Will Fairclough's tyres and mentality struggle like it did a little bit yesterday? Will he fall back into the clutches of Reza Sawutham and Nikita Johnson, who are currently battling for 4th position? We'll have to wait and see. A lot of questions still left to be answered. This driver is driving brilliantly and showing the power of clean air. You know, the clean road ahead, the confidence that comes with it. And obviously, you look after the tyres a lot better. This car is a lot easier to follow than last year's car, that is for sure. And the previous generation of GB3 car we've had for the last few years is much easier to follow around, but it doesn't make moves particularly easy still around Circuit Zandvoort. This is Will McIntyre at the moment, who has been joined by Flusha. Flusha's pace in this is absolutely rapid. His best lap time in the race was a 1 minute 32.8 was Flusha's. That is half a second faster than Will McIntyre, a proven multiple race winner in GB3. He's flying around this circuit at the moment, setting lap times that's more comparative to those at the front end of the field who are setting mid 1 minute 32s. Let's see if Flusha's going to do the move down into T1, feels the mirrors of Will McIntyre, but doesn't feel that this was the right time to make the move. Halfway in the race complete, 8 laps down, and it is Ninovic leading from Pat Huizenrode, from Deegan Fairclough. The three of those separated by 2 seconds. Huizenrode, though, with the fastest lap of the race on the previous one, is closing down in on Ninovic once again, but Fairclough is not able to go with. It's Reza Sawutham then in 4th position and Nikita Johnson in 5th. Wampu Shui in 6th position with Noah Lyle in 7th position. Pradel, McIntyre and Flusha, those two what we're looking at on our screen right now. They're the back end of the top 10. Keanu Elazari in 11th position with Schwarzer pulling Sherwood, Bastantiev in the top 15. Divi Nandan, Kai Darianani, Flynn Jacks and Bianca Bustamante at the rear end of the field. This is a look at the Reza Sawutham battle with Nikita Johnson in the middle and Wampu Shui. We did see quite a lot of Wampu Shui and Reza Sawutham yesterday. A pair of them were very, very close on the circuit. They were battling constantly around Circuit Zandvoort, and Reza was able to come out on top of that one. Ended up finishing in 5th position to move up in the championship. This will be a comfortable move in the championship as well, to move very much inside the top 10 of the championship after Reza didn't have the greatest start to 2025. Knowing, again, a proven race winner in British F4, as of course with Deegan Fairclough. But obviously the step into GB3 is a big step up, not just in terms of car, but in terms of competition as well. And Reza's now starting to settle into the championship, trying to fend off Nikita Johnson, who's of course been in it for just over half a season. I think this actually would complete a full season, wouldn't it, for Nikita Johnson? So I think we did 6 rounds last year, if memory serves. So this would be in the second weekend of 2025. It would complete that one full season, though this is the real full-time run for Johnson, who's struggled a little bit on speed before the season started. Came into Silverstone, was absolutely flying, and once again flying around the Circuit Zandvoort. It's quite close to the race lead still, 0.6 of a second. Pat Huizenrode is keeping the pressure on Alex Ninovic, but it doesn't seem as though there's going to be the opportunity. Ninovic is not making a mistake. Big slide there from Wampu Shui. But yeah, Ninovic, the sector times are looking good. It was 1/10 closed down in the first sector, 2/10 pulled out in the second though. So 1/10 overall loss for Pat Huizenmoder on this lap. This is further back, Will McIntyre in the black and yellow with the blue highlights. It's Flusha to the outside in the blue and silver. Big lock up there from McIntyre, and straight to the outside goes Flusha. The final couple of positions inside the top 10, doing battle for 9th position and 10th position. Will McIntyre currently hanging on to 9th. Flusha keeps this pace up. Going to be absolutely rapid in the third race later on this afternoon. Very, very comfortable at the moment is Flusha's speed. And so when it comes to things later on in the day, I'm very curious as to how he's going to get along. To the outside, down into Tarzan, Flusha's going to go. Will McIntyre, though, defends it brilliantly. Obviously, McIntyre is an experienced driver now in the championship, has contended for the championship last season. I think led the championship after a couple of rounds. Obviously, took a couple of wins in the opening few races. I think it was 3 wins in the opening 8 from Will McIntyre, and then kind of struggled as the season went on, and did take another win since, until Silverstone earlier on in the year. There's the lock-up then for Will McIntyre. Did not get that front right rotated, and obviously that's just going to push you deeper into the corner, and then maybe open up the opportunity for Flusha, who tried to go around the outside. What a great shot that is. Flusha, though, couldn't quite stick it all the way around. Will McIntyre doing well to hang on, and then defended brilliantly down into the first corner. Is able to hang on to that 9th position. Superb stuff. I mean, look, they're driving really well and battling really well as well. Just a little bit too deep, a little bit overzealous there on the brake pedal was Will McIntyre. Is he going to do it again? Here comes Flusha straight to the outside. There is the lock-up once more, but Flusha completes the move in the silver, blue and black Argenti with Prema car, and now moves his way into 9th position. What a move that was. Will McIntyre's not done though. He's gone through the DRS detection point on the exit of the Hans Ernst box and should be the one with DRS between these two. There is going to be a battle between the pair of them as they race their way up towards the line to complete the 11th lap of proceedings. Still 5 left to go. And this is the kind of battle I think could go all the way down to the wire. Tried going for the up and under and then sticking it down the inside at Tarzan. Has to go the long way round. Flusha defends brilliantly down to the first corner. Will McIntyre goes to the outside in the yellow and black Elite Motorsports car and then gets squeezed off just on the exit of the corner. That'll be all regarded as fair. Flusha had the line out of the corner, had the position out of the corner. And basically, it just had to be a little bit of a lift there from Will McIntyre. Here's Bostanchiev, though. This is 15th position at the moment. 14th, rather. I'll correct myself. Jack Sherwood has been passed by Bostanchiev at the start of this lap. And now Jack Sherwood is defending or trying to keep Kai Darianani at bay. They go through the S's section up towards Sky Black. And just like that, Jack Sherwood dropped from 14th position down to 16th. Bostanchiev's out wide there at Sky Black, and here comes Kai Darianani in the number 88 JHR Developments car straight through into 14th spot, capitalising on the error there from Stefan Bostanchiev. And my goodness, that was a big old lock up for Jack Sherwood. He'll be feeling that one all the way up to the end of the race, and I'm sure his back will as well. That car's going to be vibrating like crazy around this circuit over the next 5 laps. I have seen a few lockups from Sherwood. It's kind of one of those ones, obviously, when you get that flat spot on the tyre, it's so easy to find it again. And you just keep finding it and then keep finding it. And it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And that's where Jack Sherwood currently keeps locking up. 4 laps left to go, though, in the second race of the weekend. This is back to the battle for 4th position. Reza Swuthan keeping Johnson at bay, keeping Wampu Shui at bay. No major issues. It's just a comfortable performance. We've spoken quite a lot this weekend thus far about, obviously, the brand new team of Excel, obviously, mostly because the brilliant performance, you can say excellent performance, from Pat Huizenmoder in the previous race where he was able to take that victory. But let's not forget Argenti with Prema. They are also new to the GB3 Championship and are running very, very well as well. Very consistently, very strong indeed, and with Reza Swuthan and Wampu Shui in 4th and 6th position, and Flusha running in 9th. Like, all 3 of their cars are running strong around Circuit Zandvoort. There's Ninovic feeling the pressure once more. The gap is closer than it has been for a while. It's 0.6 of a second, although to my eye that looks like it's sub half a second. That kind of area. It is very close between the pair of them. And will Pat Huizenmoder get DRS? Well, I mean, he certainly will do. He's gone through the DRS detection point. He's definitely within a second. Deegan Fairclough's pace is a little bit better today than it was yesterday, as he is keeping up a little bit better with the top two, but not quite got the pace to take them all the way to the flag. It was a little bit of a mistake in the first sector on the previous lap from Ninovic, or this lap rather. He set a 31.9, playing Patrick Huizenrode's 31.6 in that first sector. So that's where 0.3 was gained from Huizenrode. As they cross the line, the gap is under half a second. It is 0.484 according to my time sheets. There you go, to start on the tower there. 4.84 is all the gap is between those top two. Thing is, once they start going through Sky Black and then through Masters, it's kind of hard to keep that gap close all the way to the checkered flag. There's Keanu Alazari looking down the rear end of Will McIntyre, the final position inside the top 10. Alazari says it's up for grabs. Will McIntyre says, no, it's not. Stay away from me, thank you very much. We've got 3 laps left to go. Will McIntyre's going to have a tricky run to try and hang on to it. Big kick of oversteer as he was departing the Hugenholtz box, and we go through the exit section up towards Sky Black. I say he's, to be fair, despite having a big kick of oversteer there, Will McIntyre's actually had a pretty solid exit and comfortably hangs on and keeps the gap, importantly, going into Sky Black, dishing out the dirty air back to Keanu Alazari. There's the race leader, Ninovic, and the gap has grown ever so slightly. It's only by a small margin. It's only gone out by a tenth or so this lap. It's close to 0.2, growing in favour of Ninovic. So it's about 0.6, 0.7 of a second. Pat Huizenrode is behind, but this is the game of tenths. It is the game of thousandths as well. There's Flusha through the shot in 9th position, that silver and blue Argenti with Kramer. Now we're looking at the black and yellow of Will McIntyre, as he's still able to fend off. Very close down in the first corner once more, so he's had a good final sector as Pat Huizenrode. The gap is just over half a second. 0.582 you can see there on the tower. It is close between the two of them, but Ninovic just... The only problem, like, this is the thing, if you're in Pat Huizenrode's boots, you need that mistake from Ninovic. And Ninovic knows that. And that's kind of one of those things, when you're a driver, when you're in this kind of position, and you know that the difference between you winning or losing is a mistake, that is almost more comforting. Because if you know it's going to come in a brave overtake and something brash and something aggressive, then you're constantly looking in your mirrors. If it's only going to come from a mistake, well, you just keep your eyes forward and you don't make them. The two of these, though, they are battling. There was a very tight line heading into Hugenholtz as they were both basically trying to... One was trying to... Keanu Alazari was going to send it down the inside. Will McIntyre knew that, and so he sent it down the inside himself to fend him off. Sky Black next as they go through the fast right-hander, and Keanu Alazari was looking down the inside but couldn't try anything and effect a pass there on Will McIntyre for the final spot inside the top 10. This battling is dragging back in Hugo Schwarzer and Abby Pulling as they head their way into 9 and then into 10, where we'll have the first of the 2 DRS zones on the penultimate lap of the race. Time is ticking down in this one. Keanu Alazari knows it. Well, I kind of get the feeling when you're in the car, maybe how many laps are left in the race kind of isn't really the focus of attention. Every lap is the last lap, and when you're sat in that mentality, it means that every corner is an overtaking one. And Keanu Alazari couldn't quite get through there into the Hans-Ernst box, and it is, of course, Will McIntyre hanging on. Last lap has just begun by our race leader, who looks to become yet another brand new winner in 2025. We obviously had Freddie Slater back in Silverstone. We had Pat Huizenrode earlier on in the weekend. It does seem as though Alex Ninovic is going to chalk up not only a podium, but a victory as well, without a mistake. Will McIntyre then defends aggressively down the inside as they head their way into Tarzan. Keanu Alazari gets to the outside. Will McIntyre then moves his car back over to try and give a wide line into the corner at Tarzan. He sends it in deep and hangs on to the top 10, the number 37 black and yellow Elite Motorsports car. The up and under potentially coming in here for the bright pink BWT car of Alazari as he then sends it straight to the inside at Hugenholtz. He's going to get a terrible exit from there, and so there's definitely not going to be any opportunity coming down to the Sky Black. And maybe you've got the 2 cars behind, the 33 there of Hugo Schwarzer, the number 9 of Abby Pulling in the black and white car with the pink highlights. The 2 of those will be rubbing their hands together at the potential of opportunity to make some moves, maybe down into the Hans-Ernst box. Here we go then. Just the final couple of corners left to go. 5 races it's taken him to do it here in the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Huizenrode was the talk of the town and the winner yesterday after winning from pole position. Pole position this time, though, was taken by Ninovic. And as he leads his way through the final corner, it will be a first victory after just 5 races for Alex Ninovic. Rodin are back on top. It's Ninovic taking victory by 3/4 of a second over Pat Huizenrode. And once again, it is Deegan Fairclough on the podium. We'll have the Argenti with Prema of Reza Sawuthan across the line in 4th position and Nikita Johnson in 5th. Wan Pu Shui will come across the line in 6th spot for another solid result for the Argenti with Prema. That is a personal best result, of course, for Reza Sawuthan as well. So obviously another thing to be talking about in this one. Here comes the battle across the line then for the final position inside the top 10. Will McIntyre in 10th position. He was able to keep Alizari at bay. Then Hugo Schwarzer pulling. And then Kai Darianani did also close his way in. So there were some tight ones in that fight. But it wasn't as tight as it was up here all the time through the race. No point during that race was Pat Huizenrode more than a second off of your race leader. And yet still, Ninovic brings it all the way to the checkered flag and takes the victory. Again, a really nice drive, and that's the important thing, especially around here. There are some circuits on the season where sometimes a nice drive won't cut it. Spa is a great example of that because you can be a bit of a sitting duck on the run on the Kemmel straight up towards Les Combes. But places like, obviously when we go to Monza at the end of the year, that'll be the same kind of thing. Big slipstream, big DRS. Sometimes you can be a sitting duck. Around circuits like Zandvoort, or when we go to the Hungaro Ring, or of course when we race at Donington Park and Brands Hatch, those are circuits that a good drive will cut it. Just a focused, mistake-free drive. And so as soon as you get that race start gone, you don't even think about anything else. It's one of those ones where I do sometimes wonder if you're in the boots of like Alex Ninovic, or of course Pat Huizenrode yesterday, how much do you check your mirrors through the race? To be honest, never is actually outside of turn 1, the race down towards turn 1. Never would have been a great call because at no point did he need to look at his mirrors. He had his eyes focused on the road ahead. He hit every single apex on the 16-lap race and drove brilliantly to a very well-deserved victory. Obviously, a great performance. Most importantly, all of the 19 drivers kept their noses clean through that race, which means that all 19 do get to take part very comfortably in the race later on this afternoon, where we'll get that reverse grid race, which is always exciting. It's always exciting here in GB3. Fascinating. It was a cracking race back in Silverstone. The best race of the weekend at Silverstone was the reverse grid race, obviously won by Will McIntyre, who will be starting towards the front end of the field again. But I will say, Will McIntyre's pace was a little bit more convincing at Silverstone than it has been here. There, climbing out of the car, is your race winner, Ninovic. You can see on the left-hand side of him, there's Pat Huizenrode. But it's Ninovic's time in the GB3 Championship. A victory for him for the first time. Obviously, just 5 races into his career. And that will throw him up towards the top end of the championship. Of course, it is his first podium as well, which is always one of those things to throw out there. A lot of these drivers, they are new, fair enough. But then, for example, Gianmarco Paolo picked up his first podium back in the first round. There's a few drivers that have started out strong. Obviously, Freddie Slater started out there as strong as ever. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a heartbreak when you're seeing all these brand new drivers come in, take the podiums, take this, do that, and you're not one of those ones at the first round. To come here into Zandvoort and to go, no, I am one of those. Obviously, Deegan Fairclough was in the same camp after the struggles at Silverstone. But to come here into Zandvoort, hit the reset button, and absolutely dominate a race like that, again, very, very impressive for Ninovic. It was a good drive from Fairclough, maybe keeping his nose out of it a little bit. I think there might be a few struggles with the full race pace for Fairclough, or maybe he's playing a really long game. That doesn't necessarily seem like it's the case. But you never know. You might be looking after the tyres. Of course, you only get, we say this all the time, but if you are brand new to the GB2 Championship partnered by the BRDC, you only get 2 sets of these Pirelli slick compound of tyres across the weekend, and you've got to make that stick through 2 qualifying and 3 races. Let's head down though to Richard Randall, who's catching up with the drivers.
Right, do this now. Where are you about to go?
Yes, Alex Ninovic here celebrating his first win in GB3, posing by the number 1 board. Alex obviously joined the championship this year, and that's a great result for him. We'll catch up with him in just a moment. Alex, congratulations, your first win in GB3. What can we say this weekend? Aussies rule in GB3 at Zandvoort.
Yeah, it's definitely a weekend of Aussies at the front, so yeah, quite happy with the result to come away with the win in race 2. Really good, shows all the work we've been putting in is paying off. It was a tough race, keeping Pat off our back, but I managed to do the best I could and come away with the win, so yeah, can't ask for much more.
Looks like you made a good start there, but you had some big pressure throughout the race with Pat right behind you. How difficult was that to manage?
Yeah, the start was really good, and then from there, I was just managing the gap and really trying to not make any mistakes to then take pressure off myself. But the gap stayed the same throughout the whole race, so it stayed quite a close race, but managed to keep ahead.
And not just your first win, your first podium in GB3 as well. You're hoping this opens the floodgates for you now?
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see what happens this afternoon and going forward, so I'm looking forward to Spa.
And it looks like you start P12 for the reverse grid later on this afternoon. What can you do from there?
We'll see what we can do, hopefully get a good start, keep out of trouble and see where it takes us.
Alex, congratulations, enjoy the podium.
Thank you.
We'll catch up now with Patrick Huttenroder. He finished in second place, backing up his race win yesterday. Pat, congratulations, P2. Another great race for you there, big points for the championship.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just had so much more pace than Alex and couldn't do anything with it, unfortunately. But really happy with my pace and able to follow, and I think that'll bode well for this afternoon's race. Got it off the line, which I'm really happy. Like yesterday, start wasn't great, but to get into second in turn 1 was really a good way to set up the rest of the race.
The win yesterday's put you into the championship lead. Has that changed your approach going into this race?
No, I'll probably don't really focus on the championship till the last round or two. You just bank as many points as you can, regardless, right? Whether you're leading the championship or not. So just looking forward to maximise points and have a bit of a fun race in the midfield.
You applied a lot of pressure during that race with Alex in the lead. You were half a second behind in most of the race. Was there an opportunity for you to potentially make a move at some point?
Unfortunately not. Maybe really early on he just made a mistake at turn 3, but then you have to follow through sector 2, which is quite difficult. Had strong pace in sector 1, and then like I said, sector 2 is hard to follow, and then catch it back up in sector 3. But overall, just once I had the approach of just applying pressure and waiting for him to make a mistake.
Well, Pat, fantastic weekend so far. Let's see how you go in race 3.
Cheers, thank you.
And finally, we'll catch up with Deegan Fairclough, his second podium of the weekend. Deegan, another podium, so continuing that strong fight back from Silverstone.
Yeah. It's good points. Struggling a little bit, but they've been doing well. They've been quick. We had such a really quick qualifying car, and it was a mistake on my behalf to not put us on the front row. But bit of a poor second phase to my launch set us back, and we lost a few positions, and then we was able to fight back up to third, and that's it, done.
What are you able to do with that? Because you've made 2 what seems really good initial starts off the line so far, getting alongside the pole position. Then just the second phase has been a slight issue. What can you do for race 3 in that one?
Just look at what I've done so different compared to yesterday to today. I think there was just a bit more grip on the inside, and I didn't really realise that because when I done my first start, I was wheel spinning so much, and then I was like, all right, we'll just modulate the clutch a little bit slower. And it just bit too quickly. So it's good to now see how going to race 2 we can improve and just collect as many points as possible this weekend.
We know you love a good overtake. You can have the opportunity to do that again in race 3. How much looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I tried a manoeuvre on Pat, but I was so far and didn't really commit fully, so couldn't get the move done, and he held it off well. So I'm really looking forward to a race later on, and hopefully we can go up the grid.
Well, Deegan, it's been a strong weekend so far. Let's see how you do in race 3.
Thank you.
That completes our top 3 interviews, and handing back now to Lewis McGlade for the podium.
Cheers to Richard Randall stepping in for Johners this weekend. Did a great job. Did a better job. Let's go with that. No, obviously here at Zandvoort, it's been a fantastic couple of races, and really interesting to hear then from Deegan Fairclough, especially like they're saying about the obviously getting ready for race 3. Remember the 18 positions, 17 positions it was made up at the previous round at Silverstone. Maybe going to be a bit of a tall order doing that from 11th position on the grid, but still, you just never really know, of course. It was a great drive, though, from Ninovic, and yeah, really superb. Obviously, I'll show you after we've done the highlights, after we've done the podium. We'll be able to see the live standings. Can confirm, though, right now, obviously, that was your championship leader. That's fine. But I will say, if you are an Alex Ninovic fan, he is up to second in the championship, and by 10 points as well over Noah Lyle, who's having a bit of a struggle this weekend. That said, with how the reverse grid works, of course, Noah Lyle will have a great opportunity to claw back some of those points. We'll get ready, though, to see our drivers onto the podium and collect their trophies. Of course, the second international trophies of the season. Those international trophies, I don't know what it is. There's that.
So we will start
there's a little
with
bit
the
more
prize
to
giving
them.
ceremony.
Of course, we had, was it Alex Dunn back in a couple of years ago in 23 in GB3. He had a lot of wins internationally. Was really good abroad. Obviously at Spa and Zandvoort as it was. That year, and then I think he took his first win in the UK only in the final round of the season at Donington Park. There's Deegan Fairclough then into third position. There's Pat Huizenrode back onto the podium for the third time in a row, by the way. Huizenrode, of course, had the podium in the final race at Silverstone, and then 2 here at Zandvoort. Alex Ninovic, though, with a first podium of the season. He's finished 4th, he's finished 5th, he's finished 4th, he's finished 1st. The other result there, of course, was a retirement, as Jonathan Palmer, the chief executive of MSV, is out to hand out the trophies to the drivers. He's made the trip over to the Netherlands. Of course, it is his championship effectively here in GB3, partnered by the BRDC. So handing out those trophies to the drivers. And again, these ones being those international trophies, they do have that little bit more weight to them, especially with 4 international rounds this season. Half the rounds done in 2025 are abroad here in GB3. And of course, the biggest one, the biggest trophy, going to the driver there on the top step. Alex Ninovic, with a fantastic performance, takes victory in round number 5. And with that, he moves into second in the championship. Let's take a look at the highlights, though, from the race. Highlights from round number 5 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, and it was Ninovic on pole position. It was a good initial launch from Deegan Fairclough on the left-hand side, but a bit of wheel spin on the second part, and he was dropping backwards down the order. Was passed on the race down into turn 1, not only by Pat Huizenrode, but also by Reza Sawirthan as well, as they would head out of Tarzan that first corner. A big move to the inside coming in from Deegan Fairclough to rescue the third place and the final step on the podium from Reza Sawirthan, and that battle would take them all the way down towards Sky Black. From the back end of the field, it's the 78 XL Motorsports car of Jack Sherwood getting to the outside of Abby Pulling after they squeezed a little bit toward the barrier. Was able to make that move stick. Unfortunately, would later drop back behind Pulling after a DRS pass. Bostanjev was the next one to get through. Jack Sherwood was struggling almost as much as this driver here, Hugo Schwarzer, having a few troubles as he was battling with Flusha, who was able to work his way through and moving up towards the top 10. Outside of that top 10, or in the final spot in it, Hugo Schwarzer was in the 10th position at the time. Keanu Alazari, with a move down the inside, would take over that spot with an aggressive move down at Tarzan. Out through the final corner, though, it was a brilliant drive from Alex Ninovic to take a first victory in GB3. Of course, the second one here at the Zandvoort circuit. Pat Huizenrode across the line behind him in second with a great drive. It was superb from this driver here. Alex Ninovic on top for the first time in GB3. Obviously, we'll take a look at the provisional results from race number 2 of the weekend and round 5 of the championship. Ninovic on top by half a second. Deegan Fairclough in third position, about 3.6 seconds off of the race lead. That's struggle in the second half of the race for him. Reza Sawirthan will be in fourth position with Nikita Johnson in fifth. Wampu Shui, the teammate of Sawirthan, there in sixth position with Gianmarco Prado, the teammate of our race winner, finishing down in seventh position. I'm sure he'll be a little bit disappointed with how that one's worked out. Noah Lyle loses second position in the championship, now drops down into third. He'll be in eighth position in the race with Flusha and McIntyre rounding out the top 10. McIntyre, though, had to fend off Alazari for the final positions inside the top 10. Schwarzer then in 12th position with Abby Pulling in 13th. Darianani, Bostanjev, Sherwood, Nandan, Jax, and then Bustamante. The rest of the field, every single driver finishing not only on the lead lap, but finishing, seeing the checkered flag. That's always a positive thing. Fastest lap coming in from Pat Huizenrode as well. Let's talk about the championship, though. Things are very interesting. Pat Huizenrode has not only taken over the championship lead in the previous race, he has extended that championship lead and leads by 12 points over Alex Ninovic. Noah Lyle then in third position in the championship, of course, after a couple of podiums back in Silverstone, but a bit of a struggle here, just 7th and 8th here at Zandvoort. He is in 4th position in the championship. Deegan Fairclough with a couple of podiums out here into 5th. Freddie Slater obviously dropping back down the order, absent from the Zandvoort weekend. Nikita Johnson in 7th. Lucas Fluscher after that great battle and great recovery drive up to 8th on the exact same points as his teammate Reza Swarthan, of course, in 9th position in the championship. And Will McIntyre looking to score some very decent points in the race later on in the weekend. He is, of course, the reverse grid winner from Silverstone. I'm pretty sure we'll be feeling confident about the reverse grid race a little bit later on in this weekend. Maybe another victory is on for him. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, McIntyre is brilliant. He's been fast. He has been fast. Can he win the final race of the weekend? Of course, you can see there, top of your screen, 16:15. That is the race start time. The broadcast will be in a little bit earlier than that, about 25 minutes before. So get here for 2:45 local time. Of course, if you are back in the UK, that is it's 2:45 in the UK, 4:45 out there in Zandvoort. It should be a fun one. It's going to be exciting. I am certainly on the edge of my seat building up to it. Are we going to get another brand new winner here in GB3? We'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much for joining us here, though, for round 5 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Alex Ninovic is your winner. He's probably going to have a bit of a struggle to do it again later on in the day. We'll have to wait and see, though. Thank you very much for joining. Until then, bye-bye.